I'm Andre. This is Robert. Before I came to the Valley in 2012, I ran the VC fund in Nigeria. At the time, my wife was a general counsel for an oil company, and her company lost $30 million in a 4-month period because a part broke on the oil rig, and the company that made it went out of business 20 years ago. So when I came to Singularity University, we realized that 3D printing is going to shift the supply chain problem by making pieces closer to the point of use. But when we dug into this, we realized that that there was one big snag. The snag is this: designers don't want to share their content. It's like the music industry; they worry about it getting lost. 80% of top designers told us they don't want to share their content without some kind of protection, and that's where Authentise comes in. We take the file and we stream it directly into the printer so that the content owner doesn't have to share the raw design file with the customer. So Robert will show you how this works in the example of cgtrader.com, one of our launch clients who just got funded by Intel Capital. So after the user goes through the normal checkout process that you can see here, the object is transferred to us via an API, and a widget URL is sent back to the user. With that widget URL, he starts the print process, and we start transforming the file into a 3D printable data and streaming it layer by layer directly into the printer. So we're really handling a massive problem for the industry, because without content, there are no use cases. Without use cases, there are no printer sales. Next year, we just signed up our first Fortune 100 client, and next year they're going to be releasing 2 million designs into the marketplace. Real usable spare parts, door handles and stuff like that. The reality here is that at the moment, you can't download more than 300,000 in the market right now, even on thingiverse.com, the largest website. So really what we're thinking is that the massive release of high quality data is going to completely disrupt the way supply chains work. And in all honesty, even without that anecdote I told you at the beginning, it's really not before time. We realized when we were researching this that just to move stuff from A to B, we spent 8.5% of GDP. And to store it at B, we spent about the same again. And then we dug into 3D printing and we realized that it could do something about it. It's making real spare parts like this gear knuckle for an aircraft. Right? GE just released the jet fuel nozzle, which is an incredible feat of engineering. And it's installed in all major new jet planes. Boeing has 400 pieces across its range of planes, your hearing aids, your hip implants, your dental crowns, all 3D printed. So, obviously, we want to make sure that those parts are printed correctly, especially once they're being made out of your control. And what we realized is that in addition to authenticating, so providing the intellectual property, there's a whole bunch of other tools that are required to make it happen. Tools like tools such as remote quality assurance or ERP integration. All of those applications are lying on top of our data stream, so we're making those possible. And the reality that they're starting to exist now proves one thing to me. Distributed manufacturing is here to come, it's here to stay. It's coming faster than we might imagine. Manufacturers are already being transformed into intellectual property publishers. So if they want help with that transformation, they can give us a call. We'll sort them out with protection, and we'll make sure that their objects are 3D printed and they're ready for the 3D printing era. Thank you.
Who wants to get the first question? Ingrid?
Yeah, thank you. Could you go back to, I'm just a little bit confused on exactly what you're offering out. I mean, it sounds like a lot.
We offer a very simple tool. It's an API for marketplaces and content owners that want to share their designs, they want it protected while sharing that, right? So they have their own marketplace, they have their own website, they call our service up with an API, and we stream their designs directly into the printer.
Okay.
Right? There's a little widget that you saw earlier on, that's the only front-end part that we offer, it's the widget.
Okay.
Cool.
It's interesting to think about IP protection and kind of a new layer of content management format that is inherently digital and distributed in an ecosystem that has an ethos of free.
Right.
Do you think that the kind of trends underlying 3D printing are going to end up working against the play, or do you think the information wants to be free will be different in this scenario?
Yeah, 3D printing comes from the hacker movement, and we've seen a lot of conflict there. But what we've really seen is that high-quality content is getting knocked out, even today. Right? So this information, this free idea doesn't work at the beginning when people are getting used to a new technology. I don't know, maybe in 5 years, the intellectual property piece that we're offering won't be the major piece, but streaming will be important because it provides other tools like remote quality assurance. We capture the feedback as we're streaming, and we're working in the lab on applications to monitor that with data analytics to make sure that the piece was printed correctly. So there's other value-add applications that sit on top of that stream and will be important way after intellectual property protection has gone. Same as in music, these things disappear over time.
You're sort of sitting between two different markets. On the one hand, you've got the 3D printer manufacturers, and here you've got the marketplaces. How concentrated are both sides of that market in terms of, is there sort of a dominant marketplace for distribution of design, and on the printer side, is there a dominant provider of the hardware?
But currently there's a dominant player, and they only have 300,000 designs online, right? And it's not a paid platform, right? So, but if as I mentioned earlier, our Fortune 100 client is going to release 2 million designs into the market. So I think that dominance is going to go away pretty quickly. On the printer manufacturer side, those guys actually like us. We're releasing content, high quality content for them, which increases use cases, which increases their sales. So in fact, this summer, I didn't mention this earlier, this summer we're going to see the release of the first printers with our software pre-installed in them. So that's pretty exciting. It goes to show that the printer manufacturers really like what we do.
We have a question from David Hornik on Twitter. Is the goal of Authentise to be a marketplace for designs or infrastructure software for distributed manufacturing?
Yeah, we're here as an enterprise B2B player. We're not a front end. Okay, we just provide the API to people who want to launch a marketplace. Every day we get requests from somebody who's got a marketplace for drone spare parts or some other application for 3D printing, and that's the reality of 3D printing. It's going to stay a fragmented game. So we're providing the tools that they need to make it happen.
Another question?
I was actually, though, I'm so glad he asked the question because what you just said clarified the entire thing. So,
okay.
Yeah, just for going.
My bad for not giving it.
No.
Are you DRM for these CAD designs?
We spend a lot of time thinking about how we can make it as weak as possible to not offend the user, because I'm a user too, and how to make it strong enough to reassure rights holders. And we think the Spotify for 3D printing model is probably the best. We could encapsulate the file in a hardcore DRM and not let anybody print it, but it's quite offensive to people who spend $2,000 on the machine, right? So we're trying to be in the middle there. I don't think DRM is the right term for it.
And real quick, where are you? So you mentioned Nigeria, and I just came back from there. That's a tough market. So,
It's a great market, but it is quite tough.
Well, yeah, it's tough. So where are you based?
I moved out here in 2012. Now we're incubated at Singularity University down in Mountain View.
Okay, great.
That's all the time we have.
Great, thank you very much.
Big round of applause for all.